Sick of not being able to find your camera's chargers and cables? Today, we build a portable charging station. A while ago on Instagram, I posted a video which chronicled the perennial challenge of having a hobby or profession which involves a lot of batteries or chargers, like photography, or in this case, videography. It showcased the frustration of sitting down to record a video just to find out that my camera had run out of batteries. And then ensued the crazed search to find the right charger, just to ultimately find it tangled up in a big ball of cables. I'm sure that doesn't just happen to me, right? After putting that video up and looking at some of the comments, it really got me thinking, wouldn't it be awesome to have a station set up where all my camera charging equipment was there and permanently set up, ready to go? So I did what any reasonable person would do and performed some research on YouTube, and I found loads of examples where people have created permanent battery charging stations. However, none of them really seem to fit my need. They either involved a huge amount of build, like woodwork or electrical work, which to be honest with you, I have neither the capability nor the tools to complete, or the end product was large and permanently fixed. I'm looking for something more portable. In a few cases also, they are actually really expensive to make. And yes, I'm after something easy, portable and cheap. So I was stumped. That was until the other day. I was sat there terrifying my neighbours with my guitar, and whilst I was making terrible noise, I had a sudden realisation. The answer to this challenge was sat there, right at my feet. This is my guitar pedal board. It's designed to hold all of my guitar pedals in a single place. And the pedals attached to it with Velcro, meaning if I want to remove one and swap it out, I can just rip it off and put another one on. Also, it helps with cable management. I can run cables through the back so it's neat and tidy. And as an added bonus, these boards generally come with a carry case. So I wondered, could I buy one of these pedal boards and instead of putting guitar pedals on it, put on battery chargers as a cheap and easy solution to the challenge I just described? There's only one way to find out. Now, pedal boards come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, and also all different kinds of price points. I only needed a small one, and also a relatively cheap one will do me. The usual difference between the cheaper and expensive versions of these is build quality. And here, my use case isn't going to involve the pedal board getting stamped on and abused at gigs. It's going to have quite a nice life. So I bought this one from Amazon. It cost me £28, or the equivalent of around $35. And it seems absolutely perfect for the job. Size-wise, it's all I need. I'll be able to get a number of chargers on top, and the build quality seems absolutely fine. It also came with the Velcro I need to attach my chargers to the top, and a carry case. Perfect. I'm really happy with this, but let's go and see if we can put it all together. Right, so the first thing we need to do is figure out exactly what battery chargers I want to put on the board and what order I'm going to put them in order to maximise its real estate. Then we'll move on to figuring out how I'm going to power them all. I ultimately want them all to be powered from a single wall socket. We'll come to that later. So the aim of this is to ensure that all of the equipment I use for a photo shoot or recording a video can be charged in one go. And there's no better place to start than the batteries for my cameras. No camera, no video. I generally use two cameras to record all my videos. My Sony a7 III, which is recording here, and my Sony ZV-1. So the chargers for those two go on first, no question. So next up will be the chargers for the batteries that my lights use. They use NPF batteries, and it just so happens that my OC monitor, the subject of a previous video, link at the top if you want to see it, also uses the same type of battery, so I'm going to put those on for sure. I'm going to put 3 of these on, as my lights use 1 battery each and my monitor 1 itself, so 3 makes sense. I can charge them all in one go. Now I need to ensure that I leave gaps between the different chargers, as I'm going to have to run wires up through them, so it looks like I have space maybe for one more charger, and that is going to be this. This charges LP6 batteries, and those batteries are used by my Edelkrone slider, so it makes perfect sense to put that on the end here. And that's all the space taken up. But the beauty of this solution is that I can easily change the setup if I want to, as the chargers will be held on by Velcro. If I buy a new piece of equipment or need something different for a different project, easy. I just rip one off and replace it. Done. So now you're probably wondering, how do I actually intend to power all these chargers? As I said earlier on, I want them all to run off a single wall socket. Well, it just so happened to be that I already owned this REV Power USB charging hub. I honestly can't remember exactly how much I paid for this, but it had been somewhere between £25 and £30. However, these days you can get them second hand on eBay for around £15, the equivalent of around $19. So they're pretty cheap. It's capable of outputs of up to 60 watts, but that will be spread across the 6 different things you can plug into it. So it's not going to be the quickest charger in the world, but that's not really my aim here. My aim is just to have a single place where I can charge everything at once and not forget. And in the future, if I want something faster, I can always swap it out. So this will do for now. So now you're probably wondering how I intend to mount this to the board. Clearly I've assigned all the space on the top to chargers. Well, there's an old trick when making pedal boards, and that's to actually mount your power supply underneath. And that's what I intend to do here. I intend to put it on the bottom and use Velcro to attach it, so again, if I want to switch it out at a later date, I can. There is, however, one challenge, and that is the depth of the power unit in this situation. The board has 4 feet on it, and they are fixed. They cannot be removed. I think that's because this is a relatively cheap one. In the more expensive ones, they usually screw off. However, with the depth the feet provide, when the power unit's on the bottom, it actually protrudes further. So if I turn it over, you can see that it wobbles. So I need to find a way of resolving this. And I think what I'm going to do is have a hunt around my house to see if I can find anything that I can stick on the bottom of the feet to raise them slightly, and therefore lift the power unit off the ground. Let's go and see what I can find. So I've had a good hunt around my house and I think I might have found the perfect solution. These are small rubber door closures. They're basically small rubber circles which are self-adhesive and are designed to stick on the back of drawers or in door frames to stop them slamming when shut. So what I'm going to do is put one of them on each of the 4 feet on the board here to raise it up. Let's see if it works. And as if written in the script, my second camera just ran out of batteries. And you guessed it, the spare is also flat. So I'll be back to finish this project off when that's charged up. Just around now. And we're back, and thankfully fully charged. Where we had left off, we had just stuck on the little rubber circles onto the bottom of the feet of the board, raising it up a little bit so the power block would fit underneath. And I'm glad to say that appears to have been a success. As you can see, it no longer rocks whilst the power block's underneath. Perfect. We'll have to see over time whether or not the actual little rubber circles stay stuck on. They may fall off, but for the moment, it seems to be working fine. And so on to the next step. Now we need to attach Velcro to the board, and then to the pedals. And one of the great debates about pedal board videos, if you've ever watched them from a guitar perspective, is whether or not you should stick the rough or hooked side to the board or the softer looped side. Now I've watched many of these videos and there doesn't really seem to be the right answer, so my approach has always been to stick the rougher side to the board and the softer side to the actual things I want to stick onto the board. That's because if I want to take, say, one of my chargers off in the future and use it independently, at least it hasn't got a rough surface on the bottom. It won't scratch anything. So that's the approach I'm going to take here. So all I now need to do is cut the Velcro to side and remove the self-adhesive back from it and stick it onto the board. Okay, now the board's got its Velcro on it, it's now a case of putting the smoother side onto the pedals themselves. Let's get it done. In order to ensure that I have the Velcro cut to the right length, I just actually measure it against the pedals themselves. Now I've got the Velcro on the board and the chargers, I've laid them out in the rough configuration we spoke about earlier on. The next step will be to plug everything in and make sure it's all working. Then it's on to the final part, which will be to tidy everything up. I've already got my cable ties that are ready, so let's go. So here I'm just trying out different cables in order to make sure I can find ones of the right length in order to run through to the back and to the power bank. There we go, everything plugged in. Now let's test it before we use cable ties to tidy it all up. All have power, awesome. Right, now all the cables are in, there are 2 jobs I can finish off. Firstly, I can attach a power bank to the board. I'm going to use Velcro to do that in case I ever want to swap it out later. And then I can use some cable ties to tidy everything up and make it look as neat and tidy as possible. This is undoubtedly the most frustrating and least enjoyable part of this process. I am super happy as to how this turned out. All the chargers I need to conduct a photo shoot or record a video are all in one small and portable place, just as I intended. And thinking about it, the benefits of this are actually pretty numerous. Firstly, it really simplifies the preparation for recording a video or a photo shoot. As long as I ensure that all the batteries that this can charge are in here and charged ahead of time, I'm good to go. Also, it really rules out the chances of misplacing a charger. No more running around with my hair on fire when I want to record something and I've run out of battery. And the other thing is that yes, whilst it's a permanent station for all my battery chargers, it's also really portable. As I've mentioned a number of times, it came with a bag. So if I'm going somewhere, be it in this country or abroad, I can just put this in the bag along with its cable and off I go. It's also small enough to fit in a suitcase, so if I'm going abroad, I can just lob it in there and I can take everything I need with me. Cost-wise, this came in at around £50 or $65, and that's when considering the cost of buying the board itself and the charging unit. I already owned everything else. And I think in comparison to other builds I've seen, that's pretty good. And the other thing is, if I change my equipment and therefore need to change one of the chargers on here, I can. Nothing's permanent. It's all held on with Velcro, so I can just rip one off and replace it. And similarly, if I want to use one of these independently, I can just take it off and on I go. This is exactly what I wanted. And if you think it might work for you, why not give it a try? Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you have any comments or feedback, please leave them in the section below. And until next time, have a great day. No, grey card, where are you? Grey card! There you are.